French police have raided and cleared a huge illegal migrant warehouse in Calais. This is a victory for GB News. And I stand before you today, currently stood in the middle of an illegal migrant warehouse full of young Sudanese brand. I revealed this warehouse with nearly 1,000 illegals waiting to break into Britain 4 months ago. Today, police cleared it out, and there's some footage that appears to show some of the illegal migrants after they were evicted. Today, Sir Keir Starmer claimed that Nigel Farage and Brexit was responsible for the surge in illegal immigration.
I would gently point out to Nigel Farage and others that before we left the EU, we had a returns agreement with every country in the EU, and he told the country make no difference if we left. Well, he was wrong about that. These are Farage boats in many senses that are coming across the channel.
And legal net migration, that will come down to under your government.
Well, this is untrue. Under the Dublin Agreement, we returned just an average of 560 people a year between 2008 and 2020. And we then took more than we returned. In 2020, we returned 105 and we took 882, apparently. So when I went to Calais, I uncovered the real reason they all want to come to Sir Keir Starmer's Britain. You want to come to England?
Yeah.
Why?
Because here I don't have home.
Do you think that they give you money in England?
Yes.
Right.
Yes, but I think they are give me England. They are give me money. You can help me anything. I can need you. Maybe you help me.
Yeah. I went back 2 months ago and it was clear that the hundreds of men, and by the way, it was only men there, were more standoffish and much more aggressive. My name's Patrick. I do a show at GB News. Hello. I just want to talk about how you get from here to the lorry parks. Is that possible? Quick conversation, no? Fine. Okay. All right, we are going to get out of here. They've obviously made their feelings clear. There we are. Yeah. All right, they've decided to kick off a little bit. Okay. All right. Hey, look, we just want to have a conversation with you, that's all. What was also clear was the fact that charity groups were, in my view, using that warehouse that the French have just raided and closed to help with illegal immigration into Britain. Just from some of my viewers' perspective, what they might think is that there's a warehouse full of men who are about to break into Britain here, and that
we have a job to do, so we're just going to go just now.
What is the job?
We don't really want to share that with you, but thank you for asking. Okay. But we're going to go. Yeah. Have a nice rest of your day.
It's just like a lot of people might be a bit annoyed about this, you know, and that you're helping them. This information can save your life. How to send your GPS location when you call for help. They've even got advice on, watch out for a refrigerated truck. Getting on or off a moving truck is very dangerous. If you fall badly, get away from the road. And you can call the emergency number. There's also a bit on, if your boat starts to get pushed back, here's what you can do. This is a manual on how to break into Britain, isn't it? So, good news. French police have now apparently sealed the warehouse and put concrete bollards up around it to prevent illegals from using it as a base again. They say as well that it was a hotbed for human traffickers, which it obviously was. GB News went over there twice and showed you the grim reality. It prompted a load of other journalists to go after us, and I'm convinced that this has put some pressure on the French. But Sir Keir Starmer, however, appeared to reject an invitation from French politicians to go over and see camps like that for himself. He didn't want to. Instead, he's still flapping around talking today about international law.
I do think we need to look again at the interpretation of some of these provisions. And we've already begun to do that work, Nick, in some of our domestic legislation. We do need to look at that.
So that's what's called Article 3, isn't it?
It's Article 3 or Article 8. They're the two that are most immediately in play.
Yeah, we'll look at it. We'll do something about it. Just do do it. I mean, actually, Sir Keir Starmer should have gone over to visit those illegal migrant camps because he's far more popular with illegal immigrants than he is with the British public. Let's get the thoughts of my panel. We've got Director of Public Services Mark Littlewood, Reform Councillor Jamie McIver and broadcaster and journalist Nina Mishkov. Right, OK, I mean, firstly, obviously, bit of a result that the French have done that, but let's not kid ourselves. It'll just be another warehouse somewhere on that industrial estate full of them soon, won't there?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, congratulations to you and Patrick for the GB News campaign, but you will be playing a game of whack-a-mole. You know, you close one down, one other will pop up. Look, interesting that Keir Starmer is now reflecting upon whether we might disapply some parts of Article 3 or Article 8, but this is all a day late and a dollar short, isn't it? I mean, it's woeful. If you were to compare, let's compare two administrations that are freshly in office last year, who has done a better job of tackling illegal immigration? Keir Starmer's Labour government or the Trump administration in America? You can get results fast if you've got the political will. Unfortunately, Keir Starmer is still reaching for his handbook on international human rights law.
Quite. Well, today Sir Keir Starmer called them the Farage boats and also said that Nigel Farage was to blame and Brexit was to blame for the illegal migrant crisis because that has directly been a result of an increase. But it's not true, is it? Because he was banging on about the Dublin Agreement, and as I just said there, we only returned something like an average of 500 people a year with that, and we were accepting loads more. So it's just a lie.
Of course it's not true. We start the week with calling Nigel Farage and Reform voters racist. People that support Reform are racist. That doesn't click on. They realise the conference is bad. They're 5 points down in the polls, and then you start to blame Nigel Farage, of all the people, for the boat crossings. Let's be real. If it wasn't for Nigel Farage, the British public wouldn't know the boat crossings were happening. And if it wasn't for GB News and your investigative journalism, we wouldn't know the reality of what's happening in Calais. This government is choosing to turn a blind eye, and they ideologically do not mind illegal migration. The Labour MPs on those backbenches would sooner provide illegal migrants with a lovely brand new Taylor Wimpey new build than they would turn them back and deport them like Reform want to. And the other thing that we need to make very clear, Starmer has a majority in the House of Commons, a significant one. Parliament controls this country. It's meant to control this country. They can deal with this tomorrow. They can put legislation in place. They don't want to. None of those Labour MPs want to do it. The backbenchers don't get on with the government. And above all, there's no political will.
Go on, Nina.
Full of sweeping statements that are akin to the truth but are not absolutely the truth. Firstly, Starmer did not call Nigel Farage racist, nor did he call Reform supporters racist. He made that very clear today. He said that the proposal that Farage had in terms of...
well, he called the policies racist.
He called the policies racist. Exactly, so let's not say that.
Not a racist, he just goes around making racist proposals. That's the new
let's face it, the year before Brexit came in, there were 1,800 people in a boat. That was all. And after Brexit, look what we've got. So that has got to have something to do with it. You can't say it's not a factor because it is a factor.
But the lie, really, and I feel comfortable saying it is a lie because there are the stats here, was that before we had this thing called the Dublin Agreement where you would send people back.
The Conservatives did not use it. They didn't use it. You can't blame Keir Starmer for the Conservatives not using it.
It's possibly easier to blame the Conservatives because what Brexit did was to put immigration policy in considerable part back in our own hands, right? So it was now up to us rather than the EU about who could come in and who couldn't. And I think it's reasonable to reflect upon what the Conservative government's approach to that was and be critical of that. Right. But that was nothing to do with Nigel Farage.
No.
Right? He was out criticising the Conservative government for its response. He wasn't the immigration minister. He wasn't the Home Secretary.
No, but I'm saying the Conservative... Boris, wait.
So it's emerged as well that a load of local politicians in northern France did invite Sir Keir Starmer out to northern France so he could go and look at camps and warehouses like the one that we were in before, so he could go and look at them for himself. Now, I put it to you that if he had done that and he'd have turned round and said to the French authorities, why aren't you doing anything about this? Because the only reason they're in there is because they want to come to Britain. That would have put huge amounts of pressure on them. Instead, it's gone on for years, and today the French finally decided to do something.
Well, don't forget, Labour politicians don't like it when people on the right suggest that France is a safe country. They think it's acceptable for people to transit through France. And let's be very, very frank about what Labour have said about Reform UK this week. They have tried to call us racist. And by the way,
they did not call the people racist. They called the policy racist.
I know exactly how people like me have been labelled this week, and it is disgusting.
You have not been labelled racist. You have not been labelled racist.
I could not believe that was a Prime Minister holding the most senior level of office this week.
You have not been called a racist.
Our policy has been labelled as racist.
That is, if you look at it logically, no, the supporters have not been called racist. He made that very clear. You are just being...
Is it a little bit like saying when Gary Lineker made references to 1930s Germany and then tried to say he wasn't talking about...
No, it's a lot more straightforward than that, Patrick.
It's not that at all. It's absolutely...
If I can just finish this point, please. The Labour Party... Ministers, the Prime Minister this week said that Reform's policy is racist. There are millions of people that support that policy. You cannot say that that suggestion isn't that those people are racist. And I can say with confidence that Labour politicians, including the Prime Minister this week, have said that the millions that support Reform UK and support that specific policy are racist.
They have not. They have
vile
not.
to say that, but I see it every week with the left in Epping. I see it every week.
It's gone in there.
And can I say something?
Yes.
Yeah. The policy where you discriminate against people because they are not British can be defined as racist because you are defining them by race.
Well, no, that's by nationality. That's not by race.
We are
nationality
in a country called Britain, and we are saying that the wave of people that
does mean a vast number of things would be racist. For example, you need to be a British citizen to vote in all elections. We don't let foreigners vote in our elections. Is that a racist policy?
No, it's not.
Right.
No, it's not.
So we are accepting we will treat British citizens differently to foreigners.
Yes. But the thing is, let's talk about who the people he's talking about. The people who have indefinite leave to remain. Many of them have been here for decades. They work in the National Health. They work in all sorts of places. They've paid their way. They've paid taxes. So you cannot say that these people should be treated differently. This is just outrageous.
Leave to remain is different to being a British citizen.
Very quickly, because we didn't get to talk about it in the last hour because we did the Gaza flotilla. But just to tie into what Jamie was saying there, so apparently the Home Office have reduced Nigel Farage's security by 75%, and then that goes hand in hand now with a new kind of idea by Labour, which is to start using the word racist about someone, whether or not it's Nigel Farage, and for David Lammy to start talking about the Hitler Youth. What's going on there? Are they putting his life at risk?
Well, it's crazy. I don't know the details around his security arrangements. I don't. I think the Home Office should explain why it's been reduced. I don't know what quantum it's at, how much he needs them, but I would expect the Home Office to explain that. I found the Labour conference was better for Reform than Reform's own conference. I mean, it's absolutely incredible to find a Prime Minister with a majority of 140 in the House of Commons, spending the entirety of the governing party's conference attacking the leader of the party who's got 5 MPs. It's absolutely unbelievable.
And Nigel has handled the Prime Minister with class this week. But I tell you something that's worse than being called racist is the Prime Minister called Nigel Farage dangerous. Cabinet members called Nigel Farage dangerous, and there are nutters in this country that will take that very literally, and that is disgraceful.
Should Nigel Farage have his security fully reinstated, Nina, do you think?
I have no idea why it was diminished, and I don't know why. And who else? We just know that if his has been reduced, who else has been reduced? We don't. This may be policy that's all the way through. We don't know.